What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, checking out the new generator support, which is awesome because I love the deck. I think it has a small cult following in Yu-Gi-Oh! Too for some reason. It just captures some people's attention. It has mine. So I was really excited to see that some new support came out. And I play a very small package. I'm going to show some gameplay after this. After I view these cards, I play Invoked Generator. So I was curious to see, like, oh, is this only going to be played in like pure generators where there's going to be a bunch of them, or can I splash this? And we'll go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, this is Vera Curse of the Generator Bosses. This is a fire level 9. That's fire. You can only use the second and third effects of this card once per turn. Okay, you can only control one face up. All the generators have that. Okay. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send one other generator card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is awesome, obviously. And then I'll just go to the next effect too, because if this card is special summon, you can special summon a generator monster from your hand or graveyard. So the biggest problem with generators is that if they're in your hand is bad, because the field spell, Generator Boss Stage, only summons from deck. But this card helps everything. Okay, so if you open up one of your generator monsters and you have Generator Boss Stage, you just bring this out, special summon it during your opponent's turn, special summon out, Har. Boom, right there. Okay, before there was like very few ways to get them out of your hand. Okay, there's the one that sends it back to the deck, but this just makes it out like so much better. Whenever you have access to fix your hand from the deck, that is a good sign. Okay, so this card in and of itself to me is enough to help the deck tons, and I'm going to show some replays where I do use this card. Now, there's also a new Xyz Monster. Pretty wild looking art there. This is Leviathan, Generator Boss of Shadows. This is actually a very interesting card for a couple reasons. Okay, you can only control one face up. Okay, fine. All the generators say that. Okay, monsters your opponent controls lose 1,000 attack and defense. Okay, like, all right. They have to have over 3,500 attack to get over this, or pretty much anything on your board. Also, it helps with your tokens, right? Because the tokens are only 1,500 attack. I wish it... Yeah, I do wish that it put 1,000 attack like down for your opponent and like 1,000 up for your tokens, but beggars can't be choosers. I think this is actually a pretty good effect because it doesn't. Your opponent can't just like go into the battle phase, right, and like jabate you, get over your token, so you don't have anything to tribute, or you have to tribute something in it you don't want to. All right, so it says you can tribute this XYZ summon card. Quick effect: special summon one non-fairy generator XYZ monster from your extra deck. So this is. Oh, okay, so I guess you just like can't do a copy of itself. That's a very specific, right? You would think it would say accept a copy of itself. So maybe that means that there's some new generator support coming too. Maybe this isn't the end. But, this is, okay, I should probably read the card now. You contribute this card, okay, special in one non-fairy XYZ, generator XYZ from your extra deck. Then you can attach all cards from either field and or graveyard to it, up to the number of materials this card had. So 2, most likely, right? Which is awesome. Meaning that you get to attach 2 of your opponent's monsters. Or graveyard. Obviously, it's a quick effect too. But the idea is that during your opponent's turn, you're taking 2 of their monsters and attaching it to, your XYZ. Which is... I will switch over now. If I go here and I pull up my deck... I think I have it in here. So this is the one it's talking about. Jorminger. Jormungener. But the generator boss of eternity. Okay. So this card's okay, right? You get to attach a material from this card. Each player draws a card, then your opponent has to give you one of them. Like, I don't know how good that is. I mean... This card becomes a little bit better because of the new card here, the Vera, right? Because if you detach a couple times, then you'll have another one in the graveyard. So then you can detach like an extra copy of Boss Stage, or maybe you have a copy of Boss Fight in your hand, and then you can bring 2 back. So you can't be too mad at that. But obviously, like, this just makes this playable now, if you want to play it. I think I've dropped this kind of stuff. I think I've dropped this guy, and this guy. In like my regular real life build for like Selene and Access Code Talker, just because I feel like it's like generally just better. But I guess we'll see what happens in the ban list, because that also includes Hulk. So if Hulk's banned, then this would probably be kind of the mainstay strategy. Although technically you could also just get away with playing Selene because most of your deck are spellcasters. But in any case, I do want to go over some replays just to take a look. Some of them include the new cards, some of them don't. This is just bonus at the end of the day, but this is one of my favorite decks. I'm playing against the new cards, which I'm going to probably release a video later today talking about it because their new cards are just insane. Konami, for some reason, just decided, like, they came out with them and was like, oh, okay, those are pretty cool. I don't know how good they are. And they're like, okay, well, we decided that it's going to be meta. So they just created some of the most insane support I think I've ever seen. We will see how it affects the OCG. But I'm just, like, it's like the cards are crazy. There's an extra deck monster there's an extra deck XYZ that doesn't require, it only requires one monster. It's basically like Colossus, but for an XYZ monster. And the XYZ monster is a Macrocosmos, which is obviously kind of insane. And for some reason, tier elements and this archetype also are related to each other. Wind Pegasus, man, I can never say good enough things about this card. It's one of the most underrated cards because your opponent just doesn't think about it. And okay, I can go ahead and banish there, so he can't use his effect, meaning that I have to kill him this turn or I'm dead. Okay. I mean, this archetype is starting to get crazy because your opponent's just like banishing everything that you own. He milled a few cards, but I mean, milling is not really bad because this is a monster reborn. But wow, I mean, I couldn't believe I survived this duel. I think because when I sent Maximus to the graveyard, he put out a Garua, so he got to draw a card. So he started with 7 cards, and somehow I still won. And one of those cards he had was Pot of Prosperity. Whew. I actually want to show the other one because I did. That was the second duel. That's why I cited it in Cosmic Cyclone. I don't have it in my opening. But yeah, this card sucks. I hate Dimension Shifter a lot. But luckily this deck is okay. It is okay. Maybe I should be playing the dark version of it now, so that way my opponent can only activate 1 monster effect per turn, technically. But at least I have 3 forms of interruption through Dimension Shifter, which that's like not bad. This card is just kind of crazy. It's a monster reborn, plus it's an extender. Ash is still a very good card. So this card requires you to control a Kishtri. I feel like they're going to name this something else. I don't think these cards are out yet. But yeah, that was pretty wacky. This is against Despia, and like the thing is, like, this deck is extremely underpowered in comparison to like what modern meta decks do. But the advantage always of this deck is that if your opponent's not playing a lot of hand traps, it's like it only benefits you because your interruption is going to come from a lot of different places. You're going to have a lot of hand traps. There's a few trap cards. So if your opponent just Dark Rulers you, normally it's not enough to beat you. So he has Tragedy and Destiny Fusion. Interestingly enough, okay, he's going to activate Dark Ruler no more. And just to show you, like, oh, look, I run a bunch of hand traps, meaning that Dark Ruler no more normally isn't going to get it done, right? I'm going to have a lot of interruption outside of my monsters. And some of these you'll see I have, like, way more. That was kind of like a bad hand, I would call. But the great thing about this deck always, like, and just going back forever, when it comes to, like, Invoked Dogmatika, you can run, like, essentially 15 going second cards, which... Like, the thing is, like, hand traps are so low impact, but only, like, if you're playing, like, if you're only playing, like, 9 and you only have, like, 1 hand trap in your opening, it's bad. But if you have, like, 2 or 3, I think you're going to give yourself a real chance. So you get to play cards like Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm. On top of that, you also can run Ash, Imperm. So you're running Evenly, Lightning, Ash, Imperm, and you also have other room for cards, okay? Which is just so wild to me. And you can see here that, like, that's what makes this deck so good, right? I have an Omni Negate in the form of a monster. I have Ash in my hand, and then I also have Dogmatika Punishment. And you know, and this is like, I guess this is technically a mirror match, and I think that this version of the deck is way better than normal. So I just think it brings the power level up, like, significantly. I guess the other thing you could do would run DPE, but I don't know. I think that these give you, like, a little bit more advantage. Also, like, you are running 2 bricks, obviously, with Fusion Destiny, but, like, the generator stuff plays during your opponent's turn, and that's what makes it so good, like, more than anything else. Also, you have some decent rank 9s now, obviously. Enter Bathnir is, like, it's an okay card. This was just some random deck because in this one I'm just goofing around. That's very rarely do you get to goof around in Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's kind of what I was doing here. 4 back row. Okay, I do main deck Solemn Strike. I think the card's insane. If you're running 12 hand traps, I don't think there's a difference between 12 and 15. I'd rather run some other like tech, like high impact card, and Strike is extremely high impact. It's kind of like Gamma, but it's like you can just use it. Like it's just easier to use, obviously, right? I am going to search Magical Meltdown, but I'm not going to use it. So it's just weird to see he has all these like monsters in his hand, but he can't do anything with them. Interesting ratios for these cards. I've never seen an Unchained list, so I guess I really can't say. So really what I'm doing, and the reason why I tribute my own Har and I leave a token on board, is because I know during my next turn I'm going to bring out the new one. And the new one's going to bring back Har. And the important thing is, and the reason why you're doing that, is because you want to have tokens. So you contribute the tokens. Go figure, right? Okay, this is a shark deck, and there's just a couple more. I just wanted to show the first replay was probably the most important because I had Har in my hand, and I was able to special summon it out of my hand. Like that's what the application is. Before I couldn't do that. And it also brings back an Omni Negate, which is awesome because like that way you don't have to play multiple Har, but you pretty much are playing multiple Har. So this is a like fairly standard opening. It's just so funny that this like used to be like meta, you know what I'm saying? Like this, I mean, this is a like for sure a decent, like I have a Monster Negate I have to discard to use, Dogmatika Punishment, and Solemn Strike, and Ash. So, I mean, that's probably enough to beat most decks, but clearly like end boards in today's like meta of 2022 is probably a little better than that, right? And I'll just show this last one. It's Crystal Beast. This is the new structure deck coming out. Pretty good opening, it looks like, for him. But I also have drawn very well. Okay, so I'm just able to go into Makaba, which is nice. And then I can go into Har. And I also have Solemn Strike, Ash, and Droll. That's a very good opening. And you're going to see this opening pretty much every time. Like, it's pretty much how it goes. Top deck of Ash is super unfortunate, so I did have to use my Solemn Strike. But it's important enough, right? I want to get my generators out of the deck. I want to be able to use them, but I don't want to have to top deck it, right? I'm going to go ahead and Ash that way, because now he's only down to 4 cards. I have 2 like negates, right? Which is pretty decent. Also, I have Droll. So he just searched, and he searched for a card that searches. But now he can't search, so that sucks for him. Also, I'm pretty sure that Crystal Beast, like I think you play Droll and Lockbird, they just crumble like a cookie. So that is the new generator support. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.